Okay, awesome. So again, my name is Kim Ware, and this is COM 315 Communication Ethics. And this morning, what I'm going to do is just walk through course expectations and then go ahead and give you a quick overview of some background information that you need to start this course, as well as review the 4 systems that we're going to be primarily using for our study of ethics and communication. So I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I have been teaching at the collegiate level for the last 16 years. I love teaching online because I get to basically interact with you anytime you need to, or I need to. And I get to read all of your work and give feedback to you versus I don't know how they're doing it in landline colleges right now, if people are still turning in physical papers and you're getting written feedback or what, but I just think this is a lot faster. So I have 4 kids. I'm also a homeschooling mom, and we live in Colorado. My oldest is almost 16 and my youngest is 8, and we have a crazy busy life. So now I'd like to hear just a little bit about each of you. Maybe just tell me what you're doing at Bryan, the program you're studying, and anything you'd like to share about yourself. So let me just get started with Victoria. Would you mind kicking us off?
Sure. Sorry, I'm also working while I'm doing this.
Okay.
I am currently a senior tech at Banner Health in Phoenix, but I live in Colorado.
Oh, cool.
I work in HIMSS, so the medical records department. I've been in HIMSS field for 22 years now, and I'm hoping to, once I get my bachelor's degree, to be able to become a HIMSS manager somewhere. That's my ultimate goal.
Awesome.
I got 3 kids. They're all grown up though, so yeah, and I'm engaged, and my fiance and I are going to get married October 1st, which is the day after classes end.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
what part of Colorado are you in?
We are on the border between Aurora and Centennial.
Oh, I'm in Parker.
Oh, nice. So you're not far away.
Yeah, maybe I'll run into you at the grocery store or something.
It's
Awesome.
likely.
Very cool. Okay, Deb, would you mind going next?
My name's Deb. I've been in the healthcare with hospice and CNA for 20 plus years. And I've gotten associate and administrative medical assistant, associate in health information management, and doing my bachelor in healthcare management now. I have 2 boys, 12 grandkids, and 8 great grandkids.
Wonderful. What a full life you have. That's great. And it takes a special kind of personality, I feel like, to work in hospice.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, you're there for the family and the patient, and you got that, connection.
Right. Okay. Now, Sherhonda, is that how you say your name?
Sharonda.
Sharonda, thank you.
Yeah. H is silent. Well, I just started in medical field about 4 years ago. Kind of filling my little work out with anything that I could get hired on. I'm actually working for Conduent. I am in the transaction process department. I've been there, this year will be 4 years. I have 3 kiddos and a dog now. What else? I graduated in 2018 at Bryan University with my associate's degree in medical coding and billing, and I'm coming back and trying to get my bachelor's degree in the health science administrative.
That's great. I love seeing students who have done something at Bryan, the associates, and then they're coming back for more. It really, it speaks a lot about the program and also about the caliber of student who is willing to come back and just keep going. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
And then Amber, I know you just left the dentist, so if you don't have to talk at all if you don't want to.
I don't mind. I just want to make sure you all can hear me. That's all.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My name Amber. I worked in medical records for over 5 years. Currently working from home. I have a 9-year-old son, and I've been married for 3 years, and I did attend Bryan and got my associates as well. So I just went back to get a higher degree. But other than that, that's all. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Well, it's a pleasure for me to meet each of you and get to just work with you over the next 8 weeks, just as much as you're learning with me, I'm learning with you. And so I kind of view this as a team approach. This is not, I don't have a top-down philosophy at all. So I just happen to have gone to school for a little bit longer than you all have at this point. And especially with your combined experience, all your work life experience, I'm sure that we have a lot that we can learn from each other. And that will happen over in Yellow Dig, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So let me just give you an overview of the course. This is sort of the bird's eye view. Weeks 1 through 4, we're going to be building a foundation, and we're going to be learning about the systems for communication ethics, which means we have to go back in time quite a bit to see where things started and then how we've gotten to the places that we are today with postmodernism and feminism and these other sort of ethical philosophies. So we'll be looking at like old dead theorists for just a little bit and philosophers. In weeks 4 through 8, then we're going to transition to an application of communication ethics. We're going to be looking at communication through these systems that we're going to learn about in the fields of interpersonal communication, intercultural, and digital communication. By the end of the course, you will have watched a movie and analyzed their ethical issues, as well as developing your own code of communication ethics in the fields that you're going into. So that is what the whole course looks like. Course expectations, announcements are key. I don't post anything that you don't need to know. And within the announcements, I post a mini lesson up through like week 6 to give you just someone else's voice talking to you about some of the ideas that you're learning about. Keep in mind that these ideas undergird a lot of our common sense communication, but they're kind of hard and they're not things that we think about every day. It's not language that we think about every day. So the mini lessons I think are helpful to give just another person talking to you in lay language about it. I also take, I don't know if you get tired of scrolling through the home screen to see week 1, week 2, week 3. That annoys me a little bit. So I always post an announcement at the beginning of the week saying, okay, here are your objectives. I'm a visual person, so it's always color coded in some way, just so you get a quick shot of what you need to do. You don't have to scroll through and find it on the home screen or on the calendar. So what I like about this course is that our assignments, you don't have an assignment due every week. Your assignments are due every other week. And it gives you an opportunity to kind of look at it the first week, maybe get started, and then wrap up the assignment the second week. So even though your assignments are due every other week, do be taking care to be looking at them the week before that they're due. And this is where time management is really key. Do you all have any systems in place for how you manage your time and get school done with your work and your home life? Any tips out there to share?
I would say that I just try to at least give myself, like, once I'm done with everything, I just make a schedule, and like I try to do something every day in school. I just do that.
Good.
Yeah, I after I get off of work, I usually take a little bit of a break, and then while my fiance plays his video games, I don't have much else to do, so I'm on school.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm a huge list maker, and that really helps me gauge what I need to do, especially as I'm sure you all can relate. There are so many things going on in your daily life, from your work things that you have to get done to kids, grandkids, housework, bills that have to be paid. And I find the list helps get it out of my head and onto paper so I don't like keep cycling through what needs to be done. Another thing that I'm a huge fan of is time boxing. And this is where you take those things that you need to do and assign time limits to them. So for example, Yellow Dig is a great one. I find that some people really love Yellow Dig. Some people love to hate Yellow Dig. And, both of those are totally on point sometimes. But if I just set a timer for myself for 15 minutes and be like, okay, I'm going to type away on Yellow Dig for 15 minutes. I'm not going to do anything else but this. Then I give myself permission after that 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be that long to move on to something else or set the timer again and stay where I am. But it helps me just chunk up my day and know that rest is coming. It helps me see productivity. So I also recommend time boxing. And I really like the different things that you all have going. Like I'm trying to do a little bit of school every day. And sometimes it's you just prioritize what needs to be done and everything else becomes auxiliary, right? It's like, well, I did all that I could do today. And so tomorrow's a new day. Thank goodness. For this course, Writing Expectations, you will see recommended word counts. Use those. So you may feel like, oh, I don't need to use all these words, but you do. Never assume that I know that you know what you know. So what you'll see, especially in communication classes, a lot of these things are common sense. The labels we use for things, like we all kind of have a common definition, but I don't know that you know how to use them in the context of the lesson. So I highly recommend looking at a writing prompt, figure out how many words you need. Look at the punctuation. If there's more than 2 question marks, you probably need at least 2 paragraphs to be able to answer that. Always use the questions as your topic sentences, and you all probably know this, but it never hurts to be refreshed on writing, right? Because this course is writing heavy. So look at the question marks, make those your topic sentences, always define the concepts. Then always give me an example of that concept in action. You will see provide specific examples on every single assignment. And that really helps you synthesize the information into your own brain so that you are able to take this concept that's sort of like way up here and apply it down here at a ground level where you can understand it and the person reading your work can understand that you understand. Does that make sense to you? Okay, good. Okay, and then Yellow Dig, every Monday I do a Spark. I love to keep Yellow Dig fun. I don't want it to be a drag or where you have to sit there staring at the computer screen like, oh my goodness, what am I going to say about this? That's not my heart at all for Yellow Dig. Yellow Dig is a place where we can come and meet and converse and have fun. And in that having fun, maybe talk about some more serious topics, but not at the level of where you have to look like a rocket scientist. Okay. That's one of the things that really drove me bonkers about going to graduate school is that I felt like I had all this reading and then I had to come to class and pretend that I understood all the reading. And I didn't. And it would have been really nice for someone to say, you're in school because you probably don't understand this information and let's sit down and digest it and understand it together. So that when you leave here, you do understand. So that's my heart for teaching this class. Do you have any questions about the course expectations? Okay, good. Now let me just do a brief review of the transactional model of communication. It may have been a while since you had your prereq for a communication course. The transactional model of communication undergirds everything that we're going to be talking about in this class. So if you'll just remember that when we are communicating with other people, we have a sender and a receiver, and we are communicating simultaneously. It's a constant give and take. The sender is encoding a message in a way they hope that the receiver can understand, and the receiver is decoding the message in a way that they hope the sender meant to send the message. As we're communicating with other people, we are always engaging in a co-creation of meaning. Think about just like something as simple as deciding what you want to have for dinner. Have you ever looked at your spouse or your friend or whatever and been like, what do you want to have for dinner? I don't know. What do you want to have for dinner? I don't know. I'm asking you, what do you want to have for dinner? And you're both trying to make each other happy. So you keep asking, and maybe you truly don't know what you want to have for dinner. And then there's a TV blaring in the background, like the news is talking, hammering at the conversation, and you're just trying to figure out what to eat for dinner, and you're getting hungry, which also means you're probably getting angry. And then you have like a relational context. Well, who am I actually talking with? Is it my spouse? It is a lot easier to be mean to the people that you love, because there's this idea that they love you no matter what, right? And so we can communicate differently. Now, if we were talking with a friend, we may not be getting angry, but we're in a relationship with our friend. So we treat our friends generally differently than we treat our spouse or our mom or our dad or our kids. So just remember that this is all going on in all of our communication interactions. Does that make sense to you? Okay, good. So this is like the daily nuts and bolts. Now let's go back to when you were born and you were being raised. These other things were also happening for you. You were developing attitudes, beliefs, and values. And these also undergird our ideas of what is right and what is wrong. And that's what ethics are. What's right and what's wrong. So attitudes, these are our learned predispositions to decide if we like something or not. I like ice cream. I don't like summertime. It's too hot. I prefer to go skiing, or, you know, these sorts of things. So I'm sure everybody can think of something right now. What is like one food that you just really don't like? So you can think about it in your head, and then think about, how is it that you learned that you don't like that food? Were there other people in your family who also didn't like that food? And so as a family, you just didn't eat that because it's gross and you don't like it. Same thing with holiday traditions. What's the one thing that you have to have at Christmas time? Is it the way you do your Christmas tree that makes you really like Christmas? Is it the way that you do your cookies? So attitudes are things that we like or don't like. Beliefs are different. So beliefs are the way that we structure our reality insofar as what is true and what is false. So it's easier to go into belief systems about religion. Just to give this example, is there a God? Is there not a God? So that would be, I would structure my reality and the way I live my daily life based on whether or not I believed one of those things was true. Does that make sense? Okay, and these are things that are happening from the time that you're born and are getting solidified through your childhood. As we get into adulthood, we start to question these things and we can change them, but the closer, so attitudes are like out here, then we get to beliefs, and then the closer we get to values, these are things that are like at the core of our existence. Values are harder to change because they're so fundamental to who we are. And these are our enduring concepts of what is right and wrong. So for example, you probably learned when you were young that it's not okay to steal. We don't steal. Stealing is bad. Take it a step higher. Murder. Murder is bad. We don't do that. What is good? It is good to share, right? We're teaching our kids and our grandkids, you're playing with that toy, but Bobby really wants to play with it, and you should share that with him. Sharing is caring, okay? So attitudes, beliefs, and values undergird the way we communicate with other people. And now we're taking this big leap to see, okay, what is ethical and what is not ethical? And those things all fall into that. So now let me show you just this definition of ethics and communication. So communication is basically the transmission of messages that we're co-creating. Now, ethics is a system of moral principles, And that's from dictionary.com. In other words, ethics is an order of right and wrong concepts according to our foundations of truth. So can you see how those foundations of truth, our attitudes, beliefs, and values play into what we think is right or wrong? Can you see that? Okay, good. Thank you so much for shaking your head at me. I just really, really appreciate that, because sometimes I'm like, yes, no. So thank you so much. So then if we take those two things, communication and ethics, and we put them together, communication ethics is the application of ethical thinking to situations involving human communication. And even that, I think, feels a little clunky. What does that even mean? Oh no. So this is now where I'm going to transition to showing you these systems that you're going to be using for the next 8 weeks to help you learn the different ways that we can think ethically as we are talking to other people and communicating with them. And this will have implications in your professional life, but also your personal life. So here are these systems. Are you ready? Okay. Character, duties, consequences, and relationships. And you're going to be using these words over and over again for the next 8 weeks. I'm going to break each of them down for you right now. But before we do that, I'd really like to hear from you all, like, what do you think character might be if we were just going to guess? What would character be? Any ideas? And it's okay if you don't know. I don't know. Okay, let's jump down to duties. I think duties is a little bit easier. What is a duty? What do you have a duty to do? Think about, like, in the morning you wake up, what duties do you need to do?
It's kind of like your job, your routine, your the things that you have to take care of each day.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. There is a duty to empty the dishwasher, maybe. It's something that we do. Okay, consequences. What are consequences?
Punish in the way like punishment.
Yeah, it could be. One of my mentors growing up used to say, we suffer the consequences of our actions. Those can be positive or negative. So it can be a punishment, but there's always an outcome for something. Now, relationships. What are relationships? How many of you have a relationship?
They're personal connections.
Yeah, your personal connections. Good, good. So let's look at how Dr. Nair, the writer of our textbook, defines these things. So character are the virtues in practice that serve as a guide to ethical decisions. So virtues are things like honesty, integrity, and those are the things that we do to help us decide whether or not it's the right thing to do, or wrong thing to do. It's our character. It's who we are as people that makes us who we are. So we've probably all known people who are just super honest, super black and white, and you can trust them even if it means hurting your feelings to tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So that's character. Duties are the sets of universal rules that are unchanging, and they can be based in divine command or human nature. So just breaking that down, this first part, universal rules that are unchanging. So this is where we go back to the idea of what is something that's unchanging in our society. Our society has set up universal rules that you stop at a stop sign. It is your duty to stop at a stop sign. That's not voluntary. Thinking still about rules of the road. In America, we drive on the right side of the road, right? That is a universal rule. We could broaden that to say, okay, other people may drive on other sides of the road in different countries, but still universally, there's a side you're driving on. We don't intermingle and drive wherever we want to. We drive in particular areas. And that's what gets to the idea of based in human nature. Humans at some point decided that this is how we drive our car. Universal rules can also be based on divine command, which gets back to the idea of belief systems and the way that we structure our realities. So the divine command can come from whatever your higher power is, or yeah, I guess higher power is the best way to say that, because there's so many different belief systems out there that structure reality. So that's what duties entails. Now, consequences. So consequences is an outcome. So it is the outcome of behavior that determines the ethical action. So if I do this and it results good or well, then it's ethical. If I do something and it has a bad outcome, it is unethical. And you're going to take a deeper dive into utilitarianism, egalitarianism, and the social contracts that we make with each other in our daily lives. And how many of you know what these words are? No, and that's okay. And these concepts, I'm telling you, they're hard. So don't beat up yourself at all as you read through them and you try to digest them and understand them. You think, I can't understand. You will. And even at the end of this course, if you don't completely understand what utilitarianism is and egalitarianism is, that's okay, because our main goal is understanding communication ethics. But we have to understand the background. If we don't understand where we've come from, we don't understand where we are or where we're going. So I hope that makes sense to you. And just like, don't get anxious about this at all, because this is going to wash over you again and again and again as you're reading all the information for this course. Okay, finally then, relationships. This is how the relationships between individuals are affected by our communication behavior. So if I do something or I say something and it hurts my relationship, that's unethical. If I do something or say something that makes my relationship better or keeps it at status quo, that's ethical. Remembering that ethics is what's right and what's wrong. So one of the systems that we get into that most students really love is the idea of dialogical ethics. And this has to do with how one's responsibilities in a relationship with another human being. Okay, I'm just going to read the definition. Which derive from one's responsibilities to another human being when engaged in meaningful dialogue or communication with that other person. So it's through meaningful dialogue with the other person that we determine together what is ethical. So if you've ever had just a really good, deep conversation with someone that you care about and that you love, and you walk away thinking, oh man, we really connected, you probably engaged in dialogical ethics. Okay. So again, these systems are character, duties, consequences, and relationships. And I get a paper copy of the book, but Dr. Neer, I'll tell you about him a little bit more in an announcement. But I actually was an undergraduate with him. I had classes with him, and he's a brilliant man. He writes really well. He gets a little wordy sometimes, but I think he generally writes it in a way that we can all understand what he's saying. And of course, we have the learners that we're doing that will break down. Myself and another instructor, Valerie Bullitt, we wrote all the learnets. So we pulled out what we really thought was the meat of the textbook to help you go over things over and over and over again. Nothing that you do in a learnet is going to be for no reason or just, be like, why did I even need to know that? Okay. So any questions about that? It's like drinking from a fire hose. Okay. Okay, good. So as you get started in the course, please don't hesitate to contact me at all with any questions that you have about the things that you're reading or my expectations. I always prefer students to ask me before rather than after they submit, even if it means you're going to be late. Just contact me and say like, hey, I'm going to be late. I need help. And I'll help you. Because it takes out the middle time. Like if you Google something and it's wrong and you spend all this time trying to understand it, then I got to write to you and explain why it's wrong. And then you have to rewrite it. When we could just talk to each other and I could explain it to you and then you could write it and get an A. Which one last thing I want to say is you can definitely get an A in this course. You can do it. And I strongly encourage you to resubmit for mastery. When you submit your papers, I put feedback in the comment section, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you did well and exactly what you need to do better so that you can ace this course. That's what I love about Bryan. I don't know of any other institution where you can graduate with a 4.0 if you're just willing to resubmit for mastery. So do that, okay? And I'm in your corner. I'm your advocate. You can call me Kim. You can see my text message. You've all received text messages up to this point. There's my email, and you can also message me in Canvas inbox. I always return messages within 24 hours. If for some reason it has been longer than that, your email probably your text message just like got pushed way down and I'm not seeing it. Just send me a friendly reminder. Hey, Kim, I asked you a question. I need you to get back to me. And I will. Okay. So that's all. Thank you for your time this morning. I'll hang out for a little bit longer if you have any other questions, but otherwise you're free to go.
Thank you, Kim. Have a good
You're
day.
welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'll see you later.
All right. See you next.
Bye.